everyone, Mark here from Talkingbass. This week we're going to look at a funky little groove that's going to help out with many aspects of your bass playing. We're going to work on your rhythm and how to develop subdivision accuracy. We're going to focus on your fingerpicking and raking, and we're even going to add a few little hammer-ons into the mix. This riff is taken from the upcoming Groove Trainer Volume 2 course over at Talkingbass. I'm well into the development phase now, so we should be looking at a release sometime in the next month. Many of you loved Volume 1, and Volume 2 is going to be a natural progression as we move into 16th notes, cut common time, and swing. As always, the lesson material is all there over at the Talkingbass website. Just click the link in the description below. The groove is at a tempo of 94 beats per minute, and it sounds like this. So we're in the key of A flat major, and for the first bar we have. To break this riff down, I'm going to approach it in small chunks, usually a beat at a time. 16th note grooves like this can be pretty tricky if you've never tried them before, and I've seen people totally unaware of errors when playing syncopated rhythms. We're looking at 16th notes here on either side of the beat, and it's all too easy for 16th note beginners to quantize themselves onto an 8th note grid without even realizing it. That's usually because it's all too easy to focus on the notes and technique. So this method of breaking a riff down into its component parts and focusing on counting is going to improve your groove a lot, and you can apply the same approach to any bass lines that you learn or have difficulty with. So let's start with the first beat. Here we have a dotted 8th note and a 16th note, so that's going to be hitting on a 1 and the A. So it's going to be 1E and A, 1E and A, and you want to count with your foot on each beat, so we're going to be hitting with the foot to begin, 1E and A, and then we come down on 2 with the foot. So 1E and A 2, 1E and A 2. So that's the first thing to get down. 1E and A 2. So the foot is coming down on 2. Both of those notes are going to be played on an A flat, 4th fret of the E string. So we're going to have 1E and A 2. 1E and A 2. Okay? Next we have the notes E flat, F, E flat. So that's going to be 6th fret A string, 3rd fret D string, and then back. So, and that's going to be with the rhythm of 16th note rest and then 3 16th notes. So this time we're going to have 2 E and A. So we're hitting on the E and A. So for those first two beats we've got 1E and A, 2 E and A. 1E and A, 2 E and A. So remember your foot, so you're coming down on the 1, 1E and A, and then you're down with the foot, 1E and A, 2 E and A. 1E and A, 2 E and A. 1E and A, 2 E and A. So, very slowly, 1E and A, 2 E and A. 1E and A, 2 E and A. Now in terms of the fingers that we're using there, we're using the first finger for the A flat there. And then we've got the 4th finger and the 1st finger, so the pinky and the index finger for the next two notes. So, okay, so with the finger picking, we're going to be picking with the 1st finger for the first two notes. Then it's 1, 2, 1. Okay, so. For the third beat, we've got a 16th note rest and then 16th note, 8th note. So we're going to be counting 3 E and. Okay, so we're just on the E and the and. So 3 E and. 3 E and. Okay, so just for the first 3 beats there in terms of the counting, we've got 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and. Okay, so I know that this might seem a little bit much for a lot of you that have never done any counting like this before, but this is really, really going to help with your accuracy, and that's what we're looking at here. So 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and. Okay, take it as slow as you need to get that down. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and. For the notes of the third beat, we've got the A flat at the 6th fret of the D string, dropping down to the C at the 3rd fret of the A string. And in terms of the fingering there, 4th finger and 1st finger, so 4th finger for the A flat, 1st finger for the C, and then we're using the 2nd finger for that top A flat, so we're on that middle finger there of the picking hand, and then down onto the 1st finger. Okay? So all of those 3 beats together, 1 E and A, 2 E and 3 E and. Okay, so you just got to get used to where those notes fall in terms of the rhythms. So we're not using metronomes or anything like that. We're just using our own internal click, let's say, with the foot. So 1 E and A, 2 E and 3 E and. 1 E and A, 2 E and 3 E and. So we're just learning where those notes fall on those subdivisions. For the fourth beat, we just have 4 and A. So simple 16th note rhythm there. And that's going to be played with the D flat, then the D, and the E flat. So we've got this little chromatic move there. So we're on the 4th fret of the A string, then the 5th and the 6th, okay? Fingering wise, we're now on the 2nd finger for the D flat, and then 3rd finger to the 4th finger for the D to the E flat, okay? And I'm actually going to hammer on with the D to the E flat with the 3rd finger to the 4th finger. So you're going to have to push down quite a bit with that 4th finger. So all of that together, 1 E and A, 2 E and 3 E and 4 and okay? So you'll notice on that 4th beat that we actually have a 16th note rest in there. So what's actually happening is we're playing that D flat quite short. So we're not holding it. We're actually cutting it short. So we've got a little stab at that D flat. Okay? So you can just play round and round on that. And like I said, if you're having any problems with this, you just need to break it down in terms of each beat. You need to just learn to actually clap it out or just count it out or count it out as you're playing it. All of that is going to help with your accuracy. For beat 4, in terms of the finger picking, very simple. I'm just using that 1st finger. So it's just 1st finger pluck for the D flat, 1st finger pluck for the D. So very slowly, 1 E and A, 2 E and 3 E and 4 and again. 1 E and A, 2 E and 3 E and 4 and. So you want to try counting that out and playing it as slow as you need to, even if it's 1 E and A, 2 E and 3 E and 4 and even if it's that slow, just taking it slowly until you start to feel it, and then you can start to build up speed. So obviously, as you start to build up speed, it's going to be very hard to count 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, like that. You just want to count it at the slow tempo until you get the feel of where those notes are around the foot. So let's just play round and round on that riff, and we'll start out really slowly and build up speed. So we have. So the key to this is learning where the notes lie in relation to the foot. So with that first beat, learning that 8th note, dotted 8th note, 16th note line, the foot comes down just after that subdivision. So we're leading into the foot there. So 1 E and A 2, 1 E and A 2. So that 2, I'm heavily accenting it with the count, 1 E and A 2, 1 E and A 2. Okay, so it's all about learning where the foot lies relative to all those notes. So for the second bar, we have. Okay, so the first beat is the same. And then the second beat has the same rhythm, so 2 E and A, but this time instead of. We have. Okay, so instead of E flat, F, E flat, we've got E flat, F, and then up to the A flat. So this time it's going to be 6th fret A string and then 3rd and 6th frets on the D string. So 1 E and A, 2 E and A. The third beat is where this all changes. So we've got 16th note rest and then 16th note rest and 16th note. So we've got these offbeat 16th notes. So it's going to be 3 E and A, 3 E and A, 3 E and A. For those notes, we're going to have A flat and F, 6th fret D string, and 3rd fret D string. Okay, so that's going to be 3 E and A, 3 E and A. Okay, so now if we put all of those 3 beats together, we have 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A. Okay, so what's actually happening here, and it's actually easier to feel this than it is to count it, is that we're just coming up. We're just playing these offbeat 16th notes. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A. Okay, so it. So yes, you want to learn how to count these things out, but it does, once you've got it down, turn into a feel thing. Then finally, for beat 4, we've just got 4 16th notes, 4 E and A, and it's going to be, so that's going to be 2 E flats at the 6th fret of the A string, then F, E flat, so 3rd fret, D string, and back to the 6th fret of the A string. So all of that slowly. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. So when you get to the 3, accent the count. So 3 E and A, 3 E and A. So 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. Okay? So yes, you might find this a little bit weird counting along, as you're playing, and keeping that foot moving, but this is all a really, really good exercise. If you're finding this difficult, then obviously it is something that you can work on. If you can't just count as you're playing, if you're finding that really difficult, well, that's something you can't do very well. So you need to work on it. In terms of the fingering, for the left hand, it all just writes itself. It's exactly the same as before in the first bar. So we've got the first finger. Then it's all 4th finger and 1st finger. Then for the finger picking, again, we start exactly the same. I'm using the 1st finger twice. Then 1st finger. Then I stay on that 1st finger for the 2 A flats at the top. Then when we get to the F, I'm picking that with the 2nd finger, which sets us up nicely for coming back onto the A string for the... So then we have 1, 2... And then when we move back up to the F there, I'm going to be on the 1st finger. And then I just rake back across. So I'm raking back with that 1st finger from the F down to the E flat, and then raking back to the A flat. So we're actually raking across 3 strings there at the end. 1st finger coming right across all 3 strings. So again, very slowly, accenting those offbeat subdivisions in beat 3. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, and then we're back. So now we can put bars 1 and 2 together, which sound like this. One thing you'll notice when you're putting the 2 together is that you might get a little bit mixed up between the 2. And the thing that might help with this is that when you come up, that move from E flat to F and back, on the first time, we come back down to the E flat, but then on the second time, we move up to the A flat, and that'll help to remind you as you work through it. Coming back down. Moving up. And just think offbeat 16th notes, consecutive offbeat 16th notes when you get to that. Bar 3 is exactly the same as bar 1. But then bar 4 sounds like this. So in this bar, we've got the same rhythm for the first 2 beats. So we've got 1 E and A, 2 E and A. Okay, but we've moved up to the D flat at the 4th fret of the A string. So for the first beat, 1 E and A. Then for the 16th notes in beat 2, we've got 2 E and A. We've got an octave pattern here on the D flat. So 4th fret A string, 6th fret on the G string. So I'm just using the 1st and 4th fingers there. So 2 E and A, 2 E and A. So first 2 beats, 1 E and A, 2 E and A. 1 E and A, 2 E and A. Beat 3 is the same as it was in bar 2, where we have the offbeat 16th note. So we're going to have 3 E and A, 3 E and A. So 3 E and A, 3 E and A, and they're going to be on an E flat at the 6th fret of the A string. So we're going to have 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A. And then for beat 4, we have 2 16th notes, 8th note, so that's going to be 4 E and. So that's going to be on the F there, 3rd fret of the D string. So we've got 4 E and F, F, E flat. So 3rd fret A string, 3rd fret D string, moving back down to the 6th fret of the A string. So that whole bar. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and. So without the counting, it sounds like this. So when I'm not counting, you can just hear those offbeat 16th notes there in the third beat. So. Okay, it gives it quite a bit of momentum in that third beat. And then it relaxes more on beat 4, so we've got a bit of resolution there. So with those offbeat 16th notes, you always get that little bit of tension. And we're back to the start. So for all 4 bars, we have... So, obviously, you want to try playing this riff as slowly as possible, counting it out until you can feel the rhythms and how they fall around your consistent foot. Then you can start to build up speed. Keep the fingering consistent in both hands, and if you start to drift away from the rhythmic grid, or if your feel starts to stray, slow it back down. So, now let's have a listen to that with the track. So remember, that riff is taken from the upcoming Groove Trainer Volume 2. There's going to be 60 grooves to work on in total, as well as a complete module on rhythm, harmony, and much more. It'll be released sometime in the next month, so remember to sign up to the Talkingbass website to get all of the news on the release. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment below. Okay? I'll see you next week.